Boom.
Are we on?
We're on, man.
Well, good news for you, kind listener.
Welcome to this Thursday edition of the podcast.
It is the Mead, Metal, and MMA podcast. I'm Kevin, and that is Brandon right over there.
Oi, oi.
The background, you're hearing the dulcet tones of what will be the new release as of tomorrow by the band Elder.
Wow, grungy.
Reflections of a Floating World is the name of that one, and it drops on Friday.
Great name.
And you might be saying, wait a minute, what are you guys doing a Thursday for? You did that shit last week. Well, that's a valid question, and it's none of your damn business.
And it ain't my fault.
Actually, it is my fault, because as last week was, I had to go out and commune with Mother Nature. This week, I have to go and commune with a bunch of street thugs.
I do that by pissing outside.
Well, we do live in a rural area. You get both. You usually get both.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we have to come together to talk about some of our favorite topics of the day, which are usually Mead, Metal, and MMA. We're not that damn clever. That's just the name of the podcast.
Might interject some video games every once in a while, maybe a flick.
Maybe. Sometimes. You just never know. If it's big enough, like we might even talk about Tiger Woods. I don't know. But I will say, on the Mead update, we've got one batch that's reaching its point where it just needs to find its way into a bottle, because it's done about the best that we can do with it. And that would be
clear.
Runestone, yes.
The beautiful Runestone. It's always nice not have to clarify a batch if you don't have to.
And the way you can do that is to rack it a bunch.
Yeah.
Or just really kind of come off lucky and utilize the right things so don't put a lot of trash in your meat.
Yeah, because in our experimental batch, we had a pretty good thick layer at the bottom, but everything else was crystal clear.
Yeah, well, and we avoided that.
Yeah.
So that means we're going to have a shorted batch. We're not going to be able to pull a full 24 bottles out of a 5-gallon batch. But the batch is better because of it. We didn't get into any of the trash on the bottom. And then what all that is just the alcohol breaking down the orange peel.
Yeah, the lees, right?
You know, and yeah, that's the lees. That's kind of the old-fashioned name. That's what I still like to use. But really, it's just amendments that are no longer being utilized that are sitting on the bottom of the batch in the fermenter. And so what we do is we pull that off of there, move it over to another fermenter, and then it'll kind of settle, and it still puts more at the bottom. Then you move it again. Anything that's going to have fruit in it is going to have a lot of trash in it.
Exactly.
You know,
we've learned that.
This orange batch, well, it's orange and vanilla. We went with a vanilla additive rather than a direct vanilla bean, and there's a reason behind that, and that has to do, again, with having a lot of trash in the batch. We don't want it there. So anyway, the Runestone batch, I think I think it depends on a variety of things. We'll have a look, and little hot shot of rye.
The lightning.
Appropriate name. Taos Lightning. Damn. But anyway, so the good news is we're going to probably assess it in about 1 week. A little more than a week, so I'm not doing that shit on a Thursday. We're going to have a look-see, and hey, if it looks like it's pretty crystal clear and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and set a date to rack it over to bottle and bottle up that whole batch. Let it settle for about 1 week, and then we're going to get it out to our donators.
Indeed. And now we've started our new batch today.
As the thunder cracks behind it.
That's right. Oh, man, this is good atmosphere, yeah?
Crazy storm overhead, so hopefully it doesn't kill our podcast right here. That's fingers crossed.
Don't worry. If it does, we'll just pick up automatically right there at the end.
Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But, so Brandon, yes, expound on what you just alluded to.
We are bringing back the Green Man. It's that time of year. I don't know, when did they start planting chilies around here?
Oh, they're already planted.
They're already in the ground, right?
Yeah, some of them are already starting to come out. They're already flowering, and yeah.
Nice. So we're maybe a month or two away.
First part of August is when you start seeing
August?
the early crop from Hatch, New Mexico coming, because that's where all the good chilies are at. And, well, with any luck, maybe we'll be ready at about the same time period with our green chili batch of Mead.
Oh, man, cannot wait.
Which really, it's in my top 3.
My top 3 as well.
You know, favorite batches. Sitting at number 3, but still. It's a really good batch. I think we've talked about it before. If you're not from New Mexico or accustomed to that particular flavor that the green chili puts off, it can be a little off-putting.
Yeah, it can be a little much, and I understand that. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, we have started the primary fermentation on that batch as we speak. It's just now the yeast is just now entered into the honey and water bath, and we'll see what happens.
Currently getting to know each other a little better.
Expect probably some vigorous bubbling activity about this time tomorrow.
Just like a guy have too much fucking hot sauce in his belly.
All right, well, that's pretty much the Mead update for this time around.
Yeah, for being a Mead, Metal, and MMA podcast, I mean, Mead is a big part of what we do. It's a huge part of what we do. It's why we're able to do what we're doing right now.
Sure.
But there's just not a whole lot to talk about being a small batch, small scale entity.
But see, the thing is, I would make the argument, mentioning that we have our Green Man batch.
Yeah.
Is afoot. It is.
Right.
It is rare. It is now underway.
Yeah, we have news. There's just not a bunch to break down.
Yeah, it's not an overabundance of information, but the little bit of information we usually have, outside of just yay, things are going fine. But I mean, that's a big turn of events.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime a new batch gets started, that's big news.
And it'll turn out. We're using some different honey this time. It's actually some clover honey from the Dakotas. Not sure which one. North
Black
or south.
Hills.
I don't know. Somewhere up there, south
Hal Swearingen and clover honey.
South of Canada, north of Nebraska. But yeah, nonetheless, though, it's going to be made out of that. Not that we have anything against the Texas honey. That one actually just was the one that was easiest for us to get our hands on this time around. And the green chili does have a very strong flavor, so I wasn't as focused on the honey this time.
Sure.
around.
Oh, no. That the Green Man, the green chili is a driving force.
Yeah.
It's one of the few batches where the additive is actually the main headliner.
And it is. It's one of the few. I mean, there are other ones, obviously. I mean, you have your spiced meats, your metheglins. That's the troublemaker. It's got a very strong flavor that comes from some other stuff, too. But nonetheless, though, I still want a pretty high-quality honey because those flavors are there. They're part of the profile. Green Man, a lot of the profile's lost.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
I wasn't overly concerned. I didn't go cheap on the honey, mind you. I just went with some that I figured was kind of middle of the road.
Right.
It'll reach fermentation very well. We're using the Lalvin D47 on it. It'll make us about a 14% ABV bottle of mead, and it'll be very tasty by the time it's all said and done. If you're from New Mexico, and,
or if you're from out of town, way out of town, and you just happen to discover it and love it.
Yeah, interesting little backstory that Brandon had kind of filled in earlier, having to do with his day job. Or night job, as the case may be, but yeah, guy from California had actually sampled green chili somewhere off the interstate, somewhere like the Route 66 casino or somewhere.
Yeah, west of Albuquerque.
Yeah, and was rather pleasantly taken aback.
One of the few times where I've heard someone say, "I've tried y'all's green chilies," and they were the bomb.
Right.
Like, oh shit, you got it figured out. And he'd buy some. They had a jar over there at the casino, and he'd take it back and forth and to his family in California, make some food that was probably goddamn pretty good. Some soul food with green chili, it sounds all right.
Yeah,
but
green chili adds to a lot of things.
Outside while smoking a cigarette with him at work, he kept talking about it. And I said, hey, we're getting started on a batch of green chili honey wine because I like to call honey wine to people I don't know what mead is.
Which we call the uninitiated.
Yes.
Or, the people of the New West, the common clay of the
mouth breathers,
the morons. No. But nonetheless,
but yeah, he's already put down for a bottle.
Good Lord, I thought our friend Krista was going pretty early on the Runestone.
No, this is
the Green Man. Ain't
dude. I had a bottle sold before honey was even in a bucket.
But no, it's not true. We can see it may be late July. Yeah, because we're about on the same timeline as we were last year.
Sure.
And we had that one ready to go by camping trip time, which didn't actually materialize. So I think we actually had waited and went in. I think we might have gave that another week or two and actually did spill into August.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of the timeline of that. We're going to do another batch. If we figured out what the obviously, we're pretty much out of long chips. We're out of troublemaker.
We're getting low on all our core
But those
stuff.
are generally the ones that we try to finish by November.
Yeah. Or
So
try to have...
So if that's the case, we probably wouldn't start anything like that till first part of September, or maybe actually August.
Yeah.
So we do have time for one more experimental batch or something. I mean, I don't know that I want to try the sizer this year. It sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a good idea when I say it, and I start thinking about all the extra research I would have to do because there's a different nutrient value in grapes.
Yeah, you mean that's Piment, right?
Or Piment, rather.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Sizer?
Oh, no, that's apple. We're not doing that again.
No, we've learned not to make ballistic weaponry anymore.
Brother Daryl had an interesting little run-in with our batch of Sacred Tree, and I didn't realize we had one. I thought that was the very last bottle ever. I rat hole a lot of stuff away, and I found a bottle and felt of the top where the cork is at, and I thought, yes, this thing's ready to murder
It's a
someone.
fourth of the way out.
So
Daryl, if you want to have any Sacred Tree, man, you're going to have to make a drive because we had to open it for the safety of others.
That's good enough for me. Let's get to metal.
Kind of a slow day.
You bite your tongue. The
I
new
know,
Elder
right?
album is coming out. By the time that most people are listening to this, yeah, it'll already be up.
True.
And if you were able to check out Lore and liked what you heard there, I think it's the next natural step beyond that. It's actually a little more active, I think. I think it's a little more rock and roll. I've only heard a couple of tracks off of it.
A little gritty, too.
Yeah, which is really kind of absent from a lot of their stuff. So I'm already a big fan. When that thing's getting ready to drop here in the next about 4 hours or so, I'll be I'll be asleep. But anyway, I'll have it set for iTunes to go ahead and hook me up.
I'll be half pissed and downloading it.
Yeah. So it's
they got a Bandcamp. Check Elder out on Bandcamp. The album is $7 digital, and you'll get a lot more than you would paying $50 to other bands.
Yeah, not that we're going to mention
Whoever those guys were.
but yeah.
Well, might actually.
But and like I said, I mean, in bands, a lot of times they will tell me I don't mind people buying it over iTunes. I'd rather them buy it than not touch it at all. Bandcamp's got to be better. I know Bandcamp wants their take. They take like 5 or 10%, but iTunes takes a full like 40%.
Oh yeah, Apple's going to get their piece of the pie.
So. Yeah.
But I mean,
anyway,
Elders.
if you can figure out a digital download directly off their website, that one's probably all that money goes to bands.
Yeah. Actually, Bandcamp seems to be their primary platform.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for a band like this from Boston, you look at their upcoming shows and you see July 13th, they're playing in Germany. July 14th, they're playing in Poland. July 21st, they're playing in fucking Norway. There are not a lot of American-bred doom, groove, metal bands, stoner metal bands that play in Europe.
Yeah. Well, good on them. That's
no, it's fucking
good work
great.
if you can get it.
So yeah, comes out matter of hours. If you're into that kind of shit, it's $7.
Yeah.
That's a movie ticket,
Right.
and I guarantee, and you'll get far more
It's a
enjoyment out
shitty
of this.
movie ticket. That's
You'll get far more enjoyment out of this
3D.
than watching Jack Sparrow in the movie theater. Just saying.
Yeah, well, it's one of those you'll have around, and they're one of them that you don't want to go buying singles. You want to buy the whole album.
Yeah,
so,
get
all
the
right.
whole thing. You don't want to buy stoner doom metal by the track because you're going to lose the whole focus.
You'll find nothing about that's a good thing. I've actually got an update for our for folks in our region of the good old U.S. of A.
Oh, what kind of boring shit's going on over here?
You remember the band that made the chainsaw famous as a lead instrument?
Oh, fuck.
If you said Jackal,
Jackal.
you'd be correct. They're playing Amarillo June 22nd. That's a Thursday, by the way.
Wow. Yeah, who wants to go see Jackal and Amarillo on a Thursday? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Anybody?
$20 in advance even. 25 at the door. Look, good on them. I hope they make a pile of money. I do, but
They will for people over the age of 50.
they haven't been relevant. What, like mid-90s maybe?
Weren't they like the house band at that Full Throttle Saloon that burned fucking down near Sturgis? And because that lead guy was like a co-owner or something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess now as gigs burned down, he's got to go back to touring.
That's it. Got to hit the road.
Oh,
The return of Jackal.
The return of Jackal. God damn. As much as I'm tired of reboots and remakes, I'm tired of these 80s bands coming back trying to make a living.
So anyway, I got to thinking this week, which is a rare occurrence for me. And I thought, wait a minute. What are some of the things that I've found over the years egregious to rock and roll?
Big
in
word to
general?
use.
Yeah, well, Okay, all right. For those of you that might be listening from, I don't know, Texas, it means really, really, really bad. Obviously, I'm jacking with our friends in Austin now. But anyway, no. So what is the most egregious thing that rock and roll has brought you in your lifetime? Well, I had to revamp that question into that because my initial question was going to be, what is your least favorite Kiss disco song? Which, really, I can think of just the one.
Yeah, I'm aware of one.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that was bad enough, though.
I can hear it once a month, and I'm like, this is okay.
Yeah, I was made for loving you by Kiss.
Baby, you were made for loving me.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't you have like a Hard Luck Woman, kind of a disco / ballad, kind of like a disco ballad?
Hard Luck Woman.
Yeah,
it's a good name.
Well, that's
good name
a
song.
Paul Stanley tune. I don't know. There's a lot of them by Kiss that came out. Now, granted, to their credit, I guess it was during that era when they caved to what they perceived to be the listeners' desires. But
sure, and the
keep
sign of
disco,
the times.
Keep disco out of my rock and roll. That's all I say.
That's right.
Brandon, do you have one to bring to the table?
I don't have one that I viewed as egregious, but the music community viewed as egregious. And I went with the release of Load by Metallica.
More than Saint Anger?
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Because and honestly, while Saint Anger ranks probably near the bottom of if I'm listening to Metallica, Saint Anger is going to come on a little later. If you go back to it, the fucking album's 14 years old. There are some shining moments on it. If you take it for what it is, which is just basically three dudes and their fucking manager jamming.
Right.
Because on the album, it's Bob Rock playing bass, which thankfully they fucking kicked Bob Rock to the curb after Saint Anger. But no, I picked Load. I picked the release of Load because when Metallica put out the Black Album, they already had some fans kind of like, ooh, I don't know.
Oh, the ones
because
that liked,
it began to turn.
Right.
Actually began to turn on the And Justice for All album when they put out the video for One. Because they told everyone, hey, we're not going to be the kind of band that releases music videos. We're just not going to do it. Then 89 rolls around and here's a music video for One. Which is fine. I mean, I didn't give a shit. I was 7 years old. I thought it was a scary fucking music video. They started getting the ire of fans there, put out the Black Album, which is one of the most commercially successful albums of all time.
That one would have had to have drawn more fans in, made new fans.
It made more new fans, but it shunned hardcore fans in the eyes of the hardcore fan, which obviously it fucking didn't. I mean,
those are usually assholes.
Never
that
a
know
band's
more
intent.
about a band.
It's never a band's intent unless you're Linkin Park to piss off your fans.
Oh, see, now there you go.
Yeah.
That brings us right here to their new release.
Yeah. But going back to Load real quick. Yeah, when Load came out, they had cut their hair. All of a sudden, you got some bluesy sounding fucking rock on a Metallica disc, not to mention steel guitar. You have a country song on Load.
Sure.
People lost their fucking minds.
Is that why all these country bands are now covering like Chris Cornell like tributes?
I guess that now they feel like, hey, we're cashing our Metallica check right now, motherfuckers. We waited for 23 years. It's time for us to start covering your shit.
Maybe that's
But yeah, I picked that. I mean, I love the album. It's my third favorite Metallica album.
Well, and I got to say, since you're pointing out an album in general and not a single, I would have to say, and it's one of my favorites, and that's Pearl Jam. Man, after Versus came out, they put out Vitalogy, and I could never get into that. There were like 2 tracks that I could even really listen to, and the rest of it sounded like they just got unhinged, and somebody somewhere wanted to become Rage Against the Machine. No, not mentioning Eddie Vedder directly, but
Yeah.
and Jeff Ament, the bass player. Those guys.
I don't know, man. Do you think, and this might be going off into another tangent altogether, but do you think the success that early kind of changed him?
Yeah. No, I mean, all of them. All of them, they sat there like kicking themselves in the ass because they put out 10, which was their most commercially successful record. And then they put
Not to mention one of their first.
It was their first.
Did they put out anything before that, like locally?
They did a couple of they used to do what they would call limited singles.
Yeah.
I think, in which case it was like 2 singles who were on there usually, and that was kind of a weird thing of its time in the mid '90s, early mid '90s.
Yeah.
And I have one where they had like Jeremy on it, which was the album cut, and also Yellow Ledbetter, which they didn't approach again, until just probably 6-7 years ago.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it was the original one, and it does sound considerably different from the one that they just cut.
I had one from Weird Al. On one side, it was Smells Like Nirvana, and the other side, it was Waffle King.
But I mean, that was kind of a Pearl Jam thing, though. After Vitalogy, they put out Wrecking Ball, not to be confused with what what's her name did here a little bit ago.
Old Horsemouth.
Well, it was I think it was Wrecking Ball, because it was a follow up to because they were touring with Neil Young, and he put out Mirror Ball. There's might have been,
which also sounds like a Miley Cyrus album.
But it was a play on that, but it was a 2 single little pressing on a CD. But I don't know. As much as I really, really enjoy Pearl Jam, there's a lot of stuff that just disappoints the shit out of me.
I think in the later years they've kind of come back down to knowing, who they are and what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ukraine
has
unveiled a statue of Tom Araya, bass player and lead frontman of Slayer. That's fucking awesome. And I'm looking at it. It looks like, you remember when Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn,
right?
He started putting out these really lifelike action figures. That's when people started keeping fucking action figures in the box in my time. It looks just like a Todd McFarlane action figure. And, only like about 6.5 feet tall.
That's being put out by the government of Ukraine or just a company?
It's actually at a Ukrainian zoo. Oh, right. God. That almost strikes me funnier than fucking dying by cooking rabbit in a percolator. And also, Adult Swim. I'm sure people are familiar with Adult Swim.
Right.
Every once in a while, they'll like to put out new music from new bands. Like, actually, they were a big supporter of Mastodon. And they would put out these little LPs for free online of just basically a mixtape of new bands you might not have heard of. Well, they're doing that again.
Okay.
They're putting out, instead of putting it out all at once, they're releasing a song by an artist every week for a year. So if there's a band you like and it's at the end of the list, well, you're going to be waiting. But it's all new music, and some of the big names are Sleep. Sleep's on there.
Okay.
The one that fucking jumped out at me is Paul Bear. Going to be releasing a new track.
Probably one off of. Is it a new track or the one off?
Brand new track.
Really?
Yeah.
God
that's
dang,
that's the whole theme about that. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
That's what's like, holy shit.
Well, it's not like they. I'm sure every band that goes to studio with something, I'm sure if they have 5 tracks that come out on the record or album or whatever the hell whatever the terminology is now, since there are so many different formats to release something, whether it be actually on vinyl or whether it be on CD or whether it be digitally. Right. But you might have 5 or 6 that actually are released. You might have probably another 8 that you just thought wasn't good enough for that. So
yeah,
I'm always a little bit, I'm always a little inquisitive on stuff like that to see exactly, because that's probably one that didn't quite make the cut.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean that the band is aware of what their best tracks are. That's the other
no,
weird
absolutely.
thing.
Actually, their cover of Typo's "Love You to Death," I fucking loved, because when I listened to it, I wasn't expecting a fucking pitch for pitch perfect rendition of the same song. That's not what you listen to covers for.
There are 2 ways to do a cover, and I don't know if we've actually addressed it on the show. I know we've talked about it before, just bullshitting around. You either do it balls on, the way that the artist did it,
or you do it your way.
Yeah, you make it your own, which we're always, obviously, if you haven't listened to our Cure cover.
Yeah, it sounds fucking nothing like the Cure, the source material, which
right.
I think is one of the either or.
Right.
You need to do it either in your style, or you need to do it fucking just like they did.
Don't do it the way that Megadeth did that
God.
Chris Cornell cover.
Yeah, Dave. Oh man,
Dave
Look,
Mustaine can't even sing. Dave
I'm going to
Mustaine.
talk to Dave Mustaine here for a second. Look, Dave, Brandon here. Look, we met in Albuquerque back in 2005 on your Gigantor tour.
You were banging my lady friend.
Yeah. Yeah, you and then you shook my hand, and I felt like I had musical talent for like 24 straight hours. You have to recognize where your vocal range is. And even when you were young, your vocal range was in a certain spot. You don't pick outshined.
No. And then ask the crowd to help you out.
Yeah. I mean, I was really just about to mimic what I heard on here, but I don't even want to fucking hear it again on the fucking internet.
Because that would come back to haunt you one day.
it was Megadeth doing Soundgarden, which...
Hey, musically, they were spot on.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
sure.
that bass player that they have
Dave
got,
Ellefson is fucking genius.
That guy.
Yeah.
Man, he's all right.
Yeah, he's one of the few former Megadeth members that he hadn't stuck around. He left for a little bit, but came back right around the time they put out 13, I think. And it's him and Dave. They are the James and Lars.
Yeah.
Not to say Kirk and Robert aren't hardcore members of Metallica, but the other two members of Megadeth, they're hired guns.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that lead player, I mean, he was hitting the right stuff in the right spot. Like you get once in a while, you get like a guy that had been a studio cat for a long time, and then they decide they're going to jump into a band and kind of get out there and kind of get back to their roots or whatever that might be, and their playing is so spot on, it blows you away, and it also makes you go, hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, this is too good.
We might have to talk more in depth about covers next week.
Yeah, because we're already at like the 27-minute mark almost. So, and we haven't even got into MMA yet. So,
real quick rundown: This Day in Music. David Bowie puts out a self-titled album today.
What year?
1967. And in that very same year, the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in the UK.
Not that David Bowie got overshadowed on
Yeah,
this.
like no shit. It's just like Groucho Marx dying and then Elvis dying. It's like, oh, well, fuck you, whoever the fuck that mustachioed individual was. Mrs. Robinson goes to number 1 on the U.S. singles chart.
Wow, 69?
68.
68.
Bob Marley and the Wailers played the first of 4 nights at the Rainbow Theatre in London. That is not really that pertinent.
No.
Prince, no. American soul singer David Ruffin died of a drug overdose this day in 1991. Just my imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is it. Born on this day, the most heavy metal motherfucker on the planet, Pat Boone.
Well, that's because he...
You know, the guy that wrote Love Letters in the Sand?
He did that goofy... I don't remember what it was. I don't know if American Bandstand was still on or some shit like that. But it was like back in the 90s. And then I think rock and roll was already dead, at least as we knew it, because grunge had sort of fully moved in. And taken over.
Hair metal was dead.
Yeah. But he comes out on... It was either that or like Solid Gold or some shit. He comes out wearing like a biker jacket and like leather pants and says he's putting out a heavy metal album. And apparently, and I thought it was a joke, but apparently he did. You know, I don't like probably 15 people bought it or something like that. Maybe 20. I don't know. But that was the whole thing. That everybody thought it was a joke. Pat Boone attempted to try to cover some.
Which, by the way, the name of that album was Pat Boone in a Metal Mood.
In a metal mood. So nothing says metal.
When he was wearing the fucking black vest and had like the studded choker on and shit.
Yeah, that's looking like he's ready to go ahead and step right in and fill in for Rob Halford if he had to.
Oh my God, I'm Oh shit!
Got you off your mark.
Yeah, you did, because then I got on a whole Pat Boone thing.
No, we need to get off of the Pat Boone.
Yeah, we're done.
Seriously.
We're done with that. Let's see. Alan Wilder, keyboard player for Depeche Mode, born on this day in 1959. Also born on this day in 1960. Simon Gallup, bass player for The Cure. Which, by the way, go listen to our cover "Love Song" by The Cure. Yeah,
we out of respect for him, we didn't put in a bass track. So,
and also another heavy metal icon, born on this day in 1974, Alanis Morissette.
Isn't that ironic?
Don't you think?
that nothing happened on this date.
Yeah, it's really it's Thursdays suck for rock and metal history. Fridays is where it's at.
Yeah, it's a moving target. That's all
true.
it is. But we do need to get in the MMA portion because we're already past the 30-minute.
Yeah, guys, and also they might start running long because it seems like we have a lot more to say.
A lot more fluff.
A lot more fluff. A lot more stuff, but a lot more fluff. And if you've ever been tended to by a professional fluffer, you know that's good for you.
And you've got a work history more interesting than my own.
Really quick, last week's card, which I did not see because I was sleeping. I'm glad Marcin Held ain't dead, for one. I'm glad he doesn't have a crater in his fucking forehead like Cyborg does.
Got a knee.
Caught a vicious knee. He was shooting for one of those weird, I'm going to just fall on the ground and go for your leg submission attempts, and met a knee.
Well, he did half of it, right? He fell to the ground.
Oh, man, yeah, he had some help. And Alexander Gustafsson, got to touch on this. That motherfucker, he acknowledged a couple weeks ago that some of the reasons why he didn't win, like the John Jones fight or the Cormier fight, was tank. In the 4th and 5th rounds, he kind of had a little less. He said he was working on it. And by God, this fight showed it.
Well, it proves something weird. Maybe a little bit of two things, but it's either that he has some of the most accurate hands in the light heavyweight division, but not a lot of power, or Glover Teixeira's just got a jaw made out of concrete, or a little bit of both. But
he's got that fucking fighting spirit, man. Glover ain't nothing to fuck with. It's just he was also around in time when the light heavyweight division was the division.
And you also can't discount the fact that just because Rumble Johnson knocked somebody out in 20, 30 seconds doesn't mean that everybody else should be able to either.
Yeah. It was just a special trait that Rumble had before he decided to go out and start selling dope.
Which is what he's doing now.
Hey, well, I have to admit, if I was in a combat sport and you can make a lot more money selling weed, I'd probably make the jump too. Well, however, if I was getting a fucking title fight, I would put my all into it.
Well, we're going to get all aggravated at Rumble Johnson again if we're not careful.
Dana White, as you know, with the Dillashaw-Garbrandt fight falling through, they've kind of been campaigning for the super fight between Dillashaw and Demetrius. Well, apparently Dana White comes out and just basically says, because Demetrius is like, look, I'm waiting to fight Ray Borg.
Right.
And then why don't you let TJ come down to 125 and get a fight under his belt, see if he can make the weight, and then we'll talk. Dana White comes back with, you don't make the fights, I do. Kind of a dick move.
From Dana White? You're surprised that Dana White's an asshole?
I'm not shocked, but I mean, he's talking this way to the pound-for-pound greatest fighter on the planet.
Well, but as we know, also, Dana White doesn't like it when fighters start trying to make their own fights unless their name's Conor McGregor.
Unless you can draw.
Or Ronda Rousey.
And sadly, for some reason, Mighty Mouse just can't draw. I can't remember the last time the dude had a headlining pay-per-view. It's always been on free TV. No, that was on free TV.
That wasn't pay-per-view?
No.
Well, I know when he fought... what the hell is his name? He's not in the UFC anymore. Probably about 4 or 5 fights ago. I know that was a pay-per-view. Bogatinov.
Oh, Ali.
But doing one of the Dodson fights? Wasn't his last Dodson fight a pay-per-view? Well, it doesn't matter.
He last pay-per-view, and he didn't. I don't think he headlined 197 when he fought Cejudo.
Are you sure?
That might have been a fucking.
Actually,
that might have been a headliner. But regardless, it was a solid year ago. This guy has been champion for. No, that was headlined by Jones and OSP.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah. I mean, he always gets on pay-per-views. He gets usurped by what they view to be bigger fights. Meanwhile, this guy just keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah, but Dana White has never liked a fighter to call anybody out unless they're Conor McGregor.
Yeah, because, I mean, you look down the list. Last 2 fights were on TV, free TV. He fought on pay-per-views.
Well, that's not a bad one either, because if you put them on and it's on Fox.
Yeah, but even the free ones are not drawing.
Well,
That's why it's tough for him to get a marquee event on a pay-per-view.
let's face facts. The problem is the smaller you are, the more interesting the divisions are. If you're a fan of the sport, you know for a fact that 125 up to 155, encompassing those 4 different divisions.
Yeah.
Those are your interesting fights right there. There's more talent in UFC in those 4 weight classes than there are in the others. But people want to see big guys go out and throw.
Yeah, I think once you break past definitely 155, maybe 170, you're starting to see a lack of true competition.
You are now, but but the desire is it's just a human desire to want to see a big person throw hands. That's why they want to see John Jones at 205 come out and throw hands. They want to see Cain Velasquez come back at 265. They want to see Cyborg at 145. It's dudes throwing hands.
But then occasionally you get the Jared Rochold versus fucking Rod Farva fights.
Yeah.
That are, it's like, oh, so this is why the heavyweight fights blow.
Well, that's why those guys have been cut from the promotion too.
Very true. By the way, Roy Nelson and Bellator, not really that big a deal. Just wanted to mention it.
5 years ago it might have been a deal, but Bellator is getting really good fighters, and there's a reason why, and that's because of the whole sponsorship thing that the UFC has going on, the awful deal they did with Reebok.
Which they still got a couple years left on.
This is a 5-6 year deal?
6-year deal.
Good Lord, man. So that means they've got 4 more years, right? 3 more.
Yeah, I think we're nearly ending year 2. I think.
My God, that is a horrible deal for the UFC. That's the only thing Bellator can offer. They don't have the money that the UFC has got, but by God, they can tell fighters, hey, you can go out and make your own money, find sponsorships on your shorts, which every fighter has had to do their entire life.
Sure.
So it's not that big a deal.
No way, man.
That
Absolutely.
Bellator deal is really, really starting to come home to roost, and it looks terrible.
It's going to be. I'm curious to see what their roster looks like at the end of the year.
I don't know.
Really
I'm pretty sure we won't have to worry about the 155 champ still being in the UFC.
We'll talk about that another time. UFC 212, this Saturday, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Yeah. It's the going away tour for Vitor Belfort.
The going away from UFC is he's talking like he's going to fight after the UFC.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to Bellator.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
They'll set up a fight between him and the.
And when if and when Vitor goes to Bellator, we'll see how good the drug testing is over there.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure they'll probably set up a Vitor versus Tito Ortiz fight. Some kind of super fight.
Try to get Tito out of retirement.
Yeah. Because he was the only guy that was really
fucking build it up like Hulk and Andre.
Yeah. Well, because Bellator has a lot of the same, And
that's another scary thing, man. Fucking
approach.
UFC is starting to do Bellator style build-ups.
Yeah, no. Well, it's got to be the new ownership group.
It is, yeah. It's all entertainment now.
They're not making the pile of money they thought they were going to be making. You know who's laughing right now? That's the Fertitta brothers.
Oh man, yeah, laughing all the way to goddamn Valhalla.
$4 billion. Woof.
God, no, they're good.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get to looking at the card here. Again, lots of Brazilian fighters. Many.
I'll take the Brazilians for the most part because the judging, as we know, will also be from Brazil. So.
Yuri Alcantara fighting Brian Kelleher.
Yeah.
Dude looks like he's from Detroit.
Okay.
A white dude from Detroit.
Look like he's going to come into
that's going to
walkout music's going to be 8 Mile.
They might like that in Rio. This is opening the pay-per-view. I'm sure Alcantara will have no
Alcantara. I thought we were already moved on.
Yeah. Eric Silva.
Yep.
Fighting Yancy Medeiros.
Yeah.
I didn't like Silva in his last fight.
No, but this one's in Brazil.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to help him. I think because even in Brazil, you're going to have some Brazilians getting their ass beat.
Sometimes. And that's when the UFC is utterly shocking itself.
And I really think one of them is going to be Eric Silva. I think Yancy is going to win a decision here.
Yancy Medeiros is a qualified fighter. He's out of Mexico, yeah?
Yeah.
His overall fight game, if this fight was anywhere but Brazil, I would like Yancy. But it being in Brazil, I don't know. You can't go wrong picking every Brazilian fighter because you're going to be right 75, 80% of the time. Except
Well, yeah,
that
because
you get that
every
one
fight has a Brazilian.
You get that fight once in a while, though, and the UFC tries not to set these up where it's every one of them gets taken to the woodshed.
Medeiros is actually Hawaiian.
Hawaiian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beat McDessie at 194, lost to Trinaldo at 198, and beat Sean Spencer at 203. Dude's fighting on nothing but pay-per-views.
Yeah. I thought McDessie retired, but maybe not.
Well, this was back at December 15. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the fight where you see a Brazilian fall on the main card.
Maybe.
And then we have 18-4-1 Marlon Moraes going against 24-5 Rafael. I don't want to say Raphael because apparently R's don't exist in Brazil.
Not in the first name.
But H's do. Rafael Sunsao.
But Sunsao coming off that big loss he'd had last time around against what, TJ Dillashaw?
I'm not sure.
I think it was. I think that was the last outing that TJ had that kind of gave him a direct shot because he dominated the shit out of him. Gave him a direct shot to Cody Garbrandt. So, but that one's in Brazil, probably a Sunsao.
Yeah, Ascension MMA. I mean, God, it really does look like a lot of the fighters in Brazil are going to be successful.
Oh yeah. Well, no, you might remember they had that card in Brazil a year and a half, 2 years ago. Like every Brazilian lost. It was like it was. I mean, the papers in Rio or wherever it was at Belém or wherever.
Yeah, outside that last,
you would have thought that there was some kind of really bad shit that happened overnight.
Outside that last Dillashaw fight, the last time he lost was against Eric Koch at UFC 128.
Yeah, but he did lose his last one against TJ.
That's what. Yeah,
dominated
by decision.
Well, he was dominating the whole fight. Though.
Dominated, yeah. And the Sterling fight was close.
Yeah,
the one he won. So a win would be good for him there, I think. And what a lot of Brazilians would have hoped would have been the co-main event: Vitor Belfort, the Phenom, TRT Tour.
Yep. Well, not anymore TRT, but
well, so they say. Saying goodbye to the UFC, fighting Nate Marquardt.
Man,
I bet you Marquardt made it to Brazil like today.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I'm going to acclimate to the area now.
I have a funny feeling that he'll probably retire after this bout as well. Nate's been around a long time.
Well, I hope he doesn't. Vitor has gone on record saying, yeah, I might be done with the UFC, but I'm not done fighting.
Yeah, but I think Nate might be. But we'll see.
But you don't lay down your gloves the same night as someone else, do you?
I don't know. Well, that's how you attach yourself to their legacy.
Unless Nate's like, no, I'm not going anywhere else to fight. My head hurts, you guys.
Yeah. I don't know. That's,
saying last UFC fight, I'll pick Vitor. I mean,
sure.
Fuck, man. Guy's been around since UFC 12.
It's in Rio, for God's sakes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a proper setup. It's almost as good as Hendo winning the title and then leaving it in the middle of the octagon saying
As
goodbye.
it should have been.
As it should have been. Yeah, I got Vitor. I'm going to go with the finish. I think he's going to come in and blow his load and either kill him or be killed. Co-main event, Claudia Gadelha fighting Karolina. If you're Jewish, Kowalkiewicz. If you're not, Kowalkiewicz.
Karolina for short, man. That's the one where I actually will pick against a Brazilian fighter. Not because of anything against Claudia.
Sure.
And I know we got a friend of ours listening in Scotland right now that's probably losing her mind. But no. Karolina is just I was so shocked by her approach the last big fight that she'd had, when it was was that the Joanna fight?
Joanna fight, yeah.
I mean, she's got a jaw for a 115 because we know that Joanna can throw. And
sure.
She was taking everything and throwing it right back. I think that's bad news for Gadelha unless it gets down and it becomes like a grappling match. And even then, we don't know. Kowalkiewicz might very well. Karolina might have a solid ground game.
Do you think that this co-main, that this fight could have, like, one of these the winner would face Joanna?
It's got to be, because why would you have these two fight if that wasn't in the works?
Yeah, why would you have Joanna fight like a 6th or 7th rank when these are two of your top 3 right now? Yeah, I'm going to go Karolina, 3-round grind.
Yeah, that's probably the
She's
smart
been
pick.
in Brazil all week.
Yeah.
She's acclimated. She's good to go.
She's right now. She's the only 115 I've seen that I think actually could topple Joanna. Everybody else has come up short, You know, and I mean, last weekend I realized there's a lot of people that don't like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, but I get, yeah, I think she's kind of pleasant in her own little weird way, but I mean, but a lot of people do not like her.
Well, she did kind of turn into a little bit of a dick after Connor made being a dick awesome and
fashionable.
A way to make money.
Made it fashionable
and profitable.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
Carolina.
I got Carolina
3 rounds.
I don't know about a finish. God, it just depends. It really depends. I think probably 115 is the safe bet. Is always a decision fight.
Sure. These two though, if it gets stopped, I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
And your main event of the evening, 26-2. I'm calling him Jose. You can call him Jose if you want. But it's Jose Aldo Jr. I guess. Okay. Aldo is the actual champ, right?
I think so.
And
that's been a weird division.
Holloway beat, which Connor, you're kind of a dick for doing this to the featherweight division. I'm not gonna lie. Max Holloway's the interim champ.
Yeah.
17-3. I think this has every potential to be a great fight.
I think if you're on the fence about buying the fight or not, I think this is a buy, just because of one fight.
Yeah,
and I'm not a big one fight and buy it guy, but
I would even say the Gedalia and Carolina fight. It makes it worth buying too.
It makes that a good $50 spend.
With after that, you're getting a pretty good unification fight. Yeah,
I mean everything else on the card. The problem is you're going to be inundated with nothing but Brazilians. Yeah. So which I have no problem with that necessarily. I didn't mean that the way it sounded.
We can go to your Twitter and know about your hatred of Brazilians.
But I mean, you better be a big fan of Brazilian fighters because that's what you're going to get on that night, and they're generally going to have, from the sounds of it, with most of them until you get into the final couple of fights there, that opportunity will shine on them.
Absolutely. The real question is, has Aldo really recovered after McGregor?
Oh, maybe. I mean, that was a shot.
Because Aldo
a year ago?
Yeah, I mean,
over a year ago.
It's been a while. And
I don't know that.
It's a tough fight, man. This is going to be a fight. Holloway will bring the chingazos.
Sure. Nobody's getting in Holloway's head.
No.
Nobody's getting in Aldo's head except for Conor McGregor. I don't know. It's going to be 145 is just such a weird one because Frankie Edgar is such a motor, but he has no answer for Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
Aldo is such a great fighter, but he had no answer for Conor McGregor. And I know that fight was over fast. Let's face facts. That fight was going to be a bad night for Aldo no matter what.
I think so. He was already mentally destroyed.
But the wild card happens to be, when you get down to it, Max Holloway. He is such – I have no idea. I think the guy's striking is so weird and unorthodox, I think Jose might have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But
the
Jose
gods
throws
disagree with you.
Yeah. But Jose throws leg kicks, the snap that he can put on him.
It's
I mean,
disgusting.
Holloway better be ready to be checking a lot of leg kicks.
But. Yeah, he could be crippled pretty early, which just brings his chances down drastically.
And if he has no ability to push off, man, that weird striking attack of Holloway is just done.
And I don't know how many wins Holloway has rattled off since his loss to Conor, because he lost a decision to Conor, I believe. But he's rattled off a lot, and then he destroyed Anthony Pettis at 145 to win that interim belt.
Man, I think Max Holloway gets jobbed on the cards.
Do you think it's job by decision for Aldo in Brazil?
Yeah.
Yep. I can't argue with that. I agree with it, but in my mind, I'd pick Holloway late with a finish. Because fifth round.
If this fight was anywhere but Brazil or the U.S., if this fight was in I don't care, London, I don't care. I think Holloway wins it a little bit. I think slightly. He does just enough to get the win.
Yeah.
But man, being in Brazil, he's got to know he's got to score very well.
I think here's what I think he's going to do. He's going to do what he's done a couple times in the past. It's going to be late in the fight. Aldo's going to be looking to coast to a decision victory. Holloway's going to step on the gas.
If he can.
I think he can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Jose hadn't already kind of leveled him.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mean, Aldo could come out and just cripple that knee and then punch him right in the jaw and end the night.
That's how he's done it time and time again.
I'm going to pick Holloway 5th round finish.
Okay. That's a solid pick. I mean, that's the way to win, is to get that finish. So
I'm just going by what he's done in the past is when it got in the later moments of the fight, dude turns on the gas.
Yeah. Well, I've got Aldo by decision. And a crappy one at that. Probably maybe even a split.
Maybe.
I still think there's going to be a lot of boos. I think there's going to be a lot of boos when it's like, judges score the contest, 48-47.
Yeah, as soon
Aldo.
As Brazil doesn't hear
Holloway,
all three, they're going to be pissed.
Yep. All right. Well, it's going to be a fun weekend. Buy the fight.
Yeah, go buy it. Do yourself a favor. Go buy that. Go buy the new Elder. Go buy Paul Bearer's new album if you haven't yet. Just go buy stuff. Contribute to the economy.
Be a good consumer. And by the way, if you're want to help us out and be a donator, get with us. You can leave a comment, I think, on the YouTube channel for Brandon. He'll get in touch with you.
And there'll be a link down in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description to our Facebook page. If you got any questions for us and you're on Facebook, just send us a message. We will reply. Right.
Because you're the best, man. We're counting on you.
You're the best around.
I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast. I think next week we get back to normal for whatever the hell that is on
Friday.
A little taxing on Brandon to do this shit on a Thursday, but
it's my first day off. It don't make a fuck to me.
Yeah. See, it is your Friday, so
this is my Friday.
See, now I get that energy.
I get 2 Fridays.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us this week. Folks, if you have Sacred Tree, drink it up now.
Yeah. Or if you have anything you bought from us a year and a half ago, pound her down.
Yeah, you might be looking to do that. But, I mean, that Sacred Tree, that was a fruit batch. We're going to have to kind of really keep an eye on that. I think we're good, and I think I know why. I think that one just had a weird little reaction to a racking that we did. But,
right.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. All right, so that's the Mead point there. Probably we'll have some details on where Runestone is coming up next week.
And next week, I'm going to go ahead and say this is what I'm going to be talking about. Nuclear Blast has announced the Winter Sun 4 Seasons packages they're offering. And guess what you get for $50 from them?
Oh, instead of $150?
Find out next week.
Oh, and by the way, if there's some egregious that happened, music history or anything that bugs you personally, let us know. That'd be great. We don't mind a little talking material to carry over from week to week.
Damn right.
I'd like to get your input. Last week's input, some of you gave us some of your ideas on the best grunge albums of all time. They matched up pretty closely.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
We're in the right wheelhouse for the people we consort with.
Indeed. Watch 212, and we'll catch you a bunch of goddamn heathens next week.
Have a good night, friends.